labor update. Dave Dell'Isola, Department of Labor. Good morning, Dave. Unmute. Unmute.
I'm muted.
There you go. All right. So wait, you're having like an informational hearing or something? Is that today or this week?
Oh, yes, this afternoon. Always fun.
Good times. And so what are they looking to ask you at the legislature, Dave?
Everything you wanted to know, but we're afraid to ask about PUA.
I guess we'll just start there. What's the latest with the PUA and Department of Labor?
Well, we've been having a lot of technical assistant meetings and getting this second tier of PUA out. I'm glad to tell you that everything's been running smoothly, at least in the front where the people see and getting the money. But behind closed doors, we're running 100 miles an hour, trying to keep up with all the notifications and the changes and everything that is required to stand the second system up. The system, like I said, to the public is fairly constant and transparent as far as what they see, but there's a lot of notifications and a lot of requirements behind the scenes and reports and requests and information that is something that we constantly have to keep up with in order to keep this, over a $500 million program continuing.
What about payouts? Is there payouts made over the weekend, Dave?
As usual, we're batching this tomorrow. And I'm, for the first time in the history of our PUA program, we're batching all claims filed up until Tuesday.
Wow.
So we are current.
I wanted to ask because we've had you on a couple times since the whole revelation that those on reduced hours aren't going to be covered by the PUA. I know the last time we spoke, you had said that the congressman and the governor and pretty much everybody's working on this fix. Has there been any progress on that? Have you had any conversation with anybody about?
We've had a lot of conversations, a lot of talk, and as far as on my side with the USDOL, I've had confirmations on the two fixes that I came up with as possibilities. I'm sure the congressman has his fixes and his perspectives. We've been sharing it, and everybody, including the governor, we're all working diligently to get this thing at least in front of the people that need to see it. Of course, the biggest problem is that there's a transition, there's an impeachment. Our Secretary of Labor hasn't been confirmed yet, so there's an acting. So the timing for getting a quick fix is a little tough when they're all kind of preoccupied. But, that gives us a little bit more time to make sure that we get everything in front of everybody. And that's what we're working on. I worked through the weekend. I've been, like I said, working very closely with the governor. We've been meeting. We've been putting together a strategy, and we're going to be meeting again with the congressman also. So we continue to push this out, but like I said, there's a lot of things going on in Washington D.C. before they start actually rolling up their sleeves and working. So we're looking forward to that, and hopefully we can get our solutions in front of them and at least a discussion on knowing, finally, once and for all, are these changes, we're going to have to live with them, or they can make the change to fix it. The good thing is that, everybody that's filed and that has been getting the payments, whether you're reduced hours or not, will continue. It's just those after the 27th of December who are filing new claims or moving forward or getting appeals. Those are the ones that, from that period moving forward, that I have to make these adjustments. And they constantly are reminding me of the adjustments and what is needed to be done. They're cracking down on not only Guam, but there are 15 to 20 states that are also in the same boat. And my armchairing it, the program was winding down when a lot of this misunderstanding or they're noticing things that were not quite right was coming to light. So I think everything went, quiet and just let us finish out. But then when you're redoing it and reestablishing a tier 2 program and continuing it on, they have to correct everything that they see moving forward. And that's what they're doing to us. They're making us correct it. They're making the states correct it. And they're making sure that we show good faith efforts in those corrections.
What about this waiver plan for overpayments, Dave? What can you tell us about that, and what's the status on it?
Yeah, the waiver thing is the biggest thing that the media is not doing correctly or saying. And it's a little upsetting because they're going out there saying that we're going to have the waiver problem. All your overpayments, don't worry. GUL can waive it. And that's the farthest from the truth. The waiver has very strict requirements in order to waive. And it's done on a case-by-case basis. And it cannot be done blanket. You have to show, number one, there's no fraud. Number two, that the fault for the payment and repayment is not because of the claim from the claimant. And then after all that repayment would be contrary to equity and good conscience. And those typical federalese talk has rules and laws and regs attached to each one. What is considered fraud? What is considered fault? What is considered equity and good conscience? And all those three things have to be in place, and then you can consider the waiver. So somebody that said, hey, I put in my income wrong, and I already spent the money. I can't pay it. I got kids. I can't help it. That's fault of their own. They knew they got the money. They got paid, and they didn't put it in correctly, and that's not missing fault. So I'm trying to make sure. I have to make sure that I implement it and do it judiciously, or else we could be in trouble, or I could be in trouble, or the program could be in trouble, because of course they're looking at this waiver. It's there for a specific reason, and you have to use it specifically and not just say, hey, Barry, I'll take care of you, overpay, waive it. They will definitely come back and put the program at risk. So we're putting together a implementation plan. We're putting it together the guidelines, and we're trying to make heads and tail of them. We have to follow Hawaii waiver laws, and since we don't have a program, and that's even more complicated. But I am going to put it in place. We are going to utilize it more appropriately, and of course, I'd love to waive everybody if I could, but like a judge, the judge has to follow guidelines of guilt or not guilt, and they're not just going to say, oh, everybody's not guilty. I have to make sure that it is implemented and carried out with the same seriousness.
So just going back, because I know you said the media wasn't doing a good job of getting this info about the waiver plan for overpayments. So the PUA recipient, do they have to prove there was no fraud?
They will have to be coming up against, I don't know if it would be just me, because there's just probably too many people that are going to try to get away with asking for waivers. So, there could be a panel, there could be a couple people. Yes, they're going to sit down and they're going to go over why the overpayment, what happened, how it was done. Sometimes be surprised, majority of the overpayments are from fault. A lot of them come from the person got the PPP money, and they were filing for PUA at the same time, so they got double pay. And when you get double pay for pay twice using two different federal funds, I can't find any reason for me to waive the fault. Nobody should be getting paid twice for the same day through assistance. And the person's got to know that that's not right. So, or a lot of the overpayments is because they got fired and they continue to pay. They continue to file for PUA.
Dave, are we talking about? Let's just rewind a little bit. Are we talking about overpayments for those employees who were on reduced hours and got the PUA in the first round? Or are we just talking about general overpayments? Because I remember you said that the overpayments for the reduced hours, since it wasn't something that was eligible for PUA in the first round, would be waived. So if you could
looking at the overpayments or the reduced hours from PUA 1, most likely will be all waived. Of course, just like USDO, they see that it was no fault of our own. We didn't do it any fraudulently, and it was done by 1/3 of the states and territories also. So they accept that maybe their guidance wasn't totally clear by everybody because of the number of people that were doing it. So they're looking at, are we doing the corrections? Are we making the good faith efforts to move forward and ensuring that this is not being still paid? And so no, we're not talking about those as overpayments.
Okay.
A lot of those overpayments and reduced hours with people putting in not all their pay or not all their income, or forgetting to put in the income from part-time work or from working. And you'd be surprised. The majority of the overpayments are from fault of the claimant not putting in income, not claiming correctly. That maybe they were on leave and getting paid. So, if you're on leave or you're not working and you're getting paid for that day through a number of whatever sources it is, then you can't file for PUA to get paid again. You can understand that, Chris.
Yeah, we had a comment here, Dave. What about those of us who already paid our overpayment? Can we file for a waiver if we believe it wasn't our fault that we were paid out?
Maybe those are the kind of things that we're still working on.
Okay.
This new program, that's a great question, and is something that is evolving. We had 3 technical assistants last week, and there are just so many facets to this new program, and sometimes it's comforting to see not only us, but the states are just crying for help and assistance because it is so complicated to implement and to make sure that the notifications, and that's what you're going to see. You saw it when we released the refusal to work that went through all the media, and we put out ads that if an employer calls you back to work and you refuse to go to work, then we put out an email and refusal to work at guam.gov, at dol.guam.gov, and employers are to report those employees who do not want to come back to work because they want to continue getting PUA. And that'll start our people to investigate and to look into that. We'll contact the employees to make sure that they're informed of the rights, but also get an understanding why they're not coming back to work. And of course, if they're not coming back to work because they just want to collect PUA, then they will be disqualified. If there are valid reasons, then of course we will allow them to continue on. But that's just one of the many notifications that need to start going out. There needs to be strict documentations and ID verifications on all the claims. There needs to, we need to put together a waiver implementation. We need to, there's so many things and reporting requirements. So we're working very frantically. We did get out all the 1099s on time. So everybody will be getting their 1099s in the mail. And if you're impatient, you can go onto your dashboard into your account, and your 1099 is available for you to download and print. PUA is taxable, same with the LWA and the FPUC. And I could say about 80 to 90, closer to 90% of our claimants did check the box to get tax withheld. So they were smart, so they don't have to come up with the tax at the end of the year and when they're filing. So there's a lot going on with this program, and we just continue to keep cranking it out. I want to say we're ahead of most states. You know, we were in the bottom, the first half of the states to get the money out and start paying and get everything going. And I'm very proud of my staff. They've been working tirelessly since March to continue on weekends to get the 1099s out, to keep adjudicating claims and to keep working. And it's something that they continue to do because they know that our people need it.
We had a comment here. Are approved appeals that involve reduced hours still being paid?
Are what?
Are approved appeals that involve reduced hours still being paid?
No. Anything moving forward that has to do with reduced hours or paying reduced hours cannot be paid. Moving forward.
Is there if someone wanted to, we just got some tips over the weekend just about a couple different local businesses. Someone was saying, the business X, they've got employees on the PUA, but they never close, they're still working. So for those kind of things, is there like a fraud line or something that people can call in and let you know?
Yeah, there's a fraud email, and it's like, I don't know it off the top of my head. There's so many emails. There will be notifications on that too. And it's like fraud hotline at dol.guam.gov, something simple like that. But yes, a lot of the local fraud comes through claimants who are found out to be paid wrong. And of course, they feel that is unjustified because they have to pay it back and their fellow employees don't. So they're the first ones to say, well, if I'm going to have to pay it back, then, so-and-so and so-and-so has to pay it back. And, when you report it, we follow it up. And there is fraud on Guam. And we have notified the authorities, the federal authorities, of some organized fraud on Guam. It's not the same scale as what we were getting from the states, but there are people who are trying to take advantage and collecting multiple claims. And whether you did it and you got the money and we find out later, or we find it out at the beginning, it's no matter to the feds.
Right.
You took the Fed funds illegally or fraudulently, they're going to be going after you. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are movements for arrests or for hearings and things like that if they haven't happened already. But
how many are we talking about, Dave?
It's small. What?
How many local cases of fraud are we talking about?
Oh, I'd say 5% or lower are fraud.
What's the level of sophistication? Because I was reading something in the States where there was a business that got its employees on the PUA, but they were still working, and then the owner was taking a cut off of whatever they were getting. Is that what we're talking about here, the kind of scams that are going on?
Not so much that. Just, when somebody files a claim and they put in their information, and then they figure out how really easy it is once you figure out how to file a claim. it gets very tempting to do it for Tun Marie, who's sitting there, your grandmother, or your other siblings or somebody else, and putting claims for them. And that's your typical where people will put in a couple claims for the family members that are in the house that have no idea that they're being filing for claims. That's probably your most typical fraud, but there are others. I mean, and there's numerous ways, but overall, people are pretty good. The typical one is also somebody was fired and that had nothing to do with COVID, but unfortunately, they need the money. They're trying to survive, so they file, knowing that their layoff or furlough had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with them not showing up to work because maybe they wanted to collect PUA. That's another very typical scenario where, and the employer, when they file, you don't get an employment letter, separation letter. We'll call, we'll find out, we'll follow up, because those are the things that you need to have in a claim. And when we talk to the employer, they say, oh yeah, Chris never showed up to work. And when we called him, he always gave an excuse, so we had to fire him. And then they turn around and they file for PUA. And, they answered the questions all correctly. When you got 30,000 people filing, an automated system is a blessing. But also an automated system only automates based on your answers. And if you're going to answer them fraudulently, then it's going to approve your claim and pay you. And a lot of times in appeals, these people who are overpaid or need to pay it back, their excuse is, well, why did you pay me? And I said, because you answered the questions wrong. You weren't laid off because of PUA. You checked the boxes, and the system takes you for your word because you certify that the information you did was true and correct. And you got paid because of it. And when we got 30,000 claims in, we may not get to you for months or for a while. And when we do get to you, you've already received $10,000-$15,000 worth of payments. Boy. So, that's the most unpleasant part of my job. And it's something that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And listening to these appeals. But, like I said, you got to take the good with the bad and move forward. Especially when they have stories about how they got the kids, they got to put food on on their table. Your heart, just bleeds to hear the story, but they got the money at fault of their own. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that I hate doing appeals for. Yeah. So, but like I said, we keep moving forward. Our program is growing great. Last year we gave out $520 million. So that helped our island and our economy continue. And we'll keep continuing to pump out the millions of dollars and to help our island start recovering. These rules and regs may shift and change because USDOL is clamping really hard on ensuring that we follow the valid reasons for PUA. We put in some big questions, and it could shift again. And thankfully, a lot of the people who are unemployed, these kind of questions don't affect them if they're already collecting the money and they're still, waiting to get, to find jobs. We were selected as one of the 3 states next week to do a presentation nationwide on our recovery, our dislocated worker recovery program. And, we're going to give a presentation nationwide on how we're uh, effectively using 90%, and we're trying to get more money for our recovery. We have over 160 people hired, and they're out there doing contact tracing, cleaning COVID rooms, to assisting with the vaccine at the hospitals and at the sites, giving out food, helping with rev and tax, with the crowd controls and the SALAPI programs and the stimulus programs. We're just cranking it out there, and the states, and Washington was so impressed what we were doing that they wanted us to show the states how to do it, how to think out of the box, and how to spend money. So I'm real happy to, and I think that'll bode well, because we've asked for over $10 million to help retrain and reskill our program.
I know we wanted to ask about the CNMI, Dave. We had Kevin Bautista from the governor's office on, and what was he saying about how they're handling workers on reduced hours?
Yeah, we asked him about that because they also got the similar notice that we received about PUA 1 and how reduced hour workers weren't supposed to get paid the PUA. But I asked about, well, what about now and PUA 2? And he said that they're allowing people to apply and they're going to pay it out, but they're warned that there's that possibility that they may have to pay it back.
Okay, so
yeah. No, I'm just wondering what
I can't in good conscience run a program like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I know that it's not a eligible way to pay out, and I was to, and USDOL in multiple meetings told us that it's not, and then you will be at risk. That wouldn't be very, right of me to, running a program with high integrity to continue to do that. Just like me saying, oh, I'm going to waive everybody that's overpaid. Those are the kind of things that will come back. Maybe the solutions that my governor and our congressmen and myself are trying to implement may come back and save the day, but maybe it won't. And I would think with the feds, why do you think we're paying so much? Why do you think that we get the money that we do? Why do you think that throughout this whole program, the feds have bent over backwards to ensure that we continue to pay? It's because they see that I'm running a clean program. They see that I'm running it with high integrity. They see that our governor is ensuring that we follow the rules and the guidelines. And when you do that, then they will do their best to continue that we get the money out. Mm-hmm. So if they get away with it, more power with them. I can't speak to what CNMI or other states are doing. All I can say is that what they said, they're clamping down on those other states, and they're making them ensure that they pay it right.
Right.
And
what's your gut feeling though, Dave? What's your gut feeling? What is your gut feeling in terms of this coming to a happy ending, where reduced workers will be eligible?
I have a better feeling that the Biden administration's in, and they're trying to pass a stimulus, a new one with more lenient and flexibility. So my hope is that, if Congress wants to do this, because it won't only benefit Guam, but it'll benefit the CNMI. It'll benefit some of the other states in a much smaller way, that they would consider it. It's really so, or the Secretary of Labor. That's the other thing. The new Secretary of Labor, when confirmed, or the existing acting, can put in a criteria, an additional criteria of eligibility. He has that power. So it's hard for me to say, because new administration, new people, and this is, Washington D.C., and that's not in my my lane of experience. But I will guarantee you that I will put it out to all of them and to the congressmen and to the Secretary of Labor and everybody so that they will see it. Now, I hope our congressmen can over there in DC can rally and get the support to move it forward. And our governor is passionate and also trying to make sure that it gets to everybody. And between three of us, we'll get it there. We'll get it in front of them. And how the politics work, I'm not sure, but they will know that it is a request that would help our island.
Dave, we had a comment here. Where did the $150 subtraction from your income come from if they're not supposed to earn an hour of income?
That's another good question, and I could get into a long answer, so I'll just give you a quick short answer. There is reduced hours that is available. One of the ways that reduced hours can be available is under the DD criteria, and that is a child or another person in the household for which the individual is providing caregiving responsibility, or your kids from school. So if you have to go home part-time to take care of your kids or a sick loved one because there's nobody to take care of them, or the school is partially open or closed, so you're working partial hours, then you would check the DD eligibility and you would just report those reduced hours. So there may be another reason for reduced hours. If you were working a full-time job and you had a part-time job and that you were laid off from your full-time job, but you still had a part-time job, then that part-time job, you have to claim that income, but under the JJ, where your business is closed, your place of employment is closed because of COVID, that one would still apply to you. So there's some, and then the income that you made from your part-time job, you would use the earnings disregards, and you would be adjusted with the PUA. So I'm trying to lock down all the eligible reduced hour criteria. Some of them, the UI experts in DC, I even gave them a question that they weren't familiar with. So they're trying to give me final guidance so that I can put it all together and say, here are the instances for reduced hours that are allowable. So that's a great question, and that's, believe it or not, the short answer.
Wow. Bree?
No, I'm good. I know you have a 1 o'clock informational briefing, so.
Yeah. I think we just had it here.
Guys.
So, yeah. That was a sneak peek, guys.
I appreciate you getting the word out and having me on, and we move forward with this program, and we'll continue tomorrow. Let you know how much money is batched for this coming weeks for PUA.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
nice day.
You too.
You too.
Good luck at your hearing. Break a leg.
Bye.
Okay.
Yeah, that virtual informational hearing is at 1 p.m. It's with Senator Sabina Perez's committee. She has oversight over GDLL, so you can check it out at the legislature's YouTube channel.
Right. And that
Or
was
on
one of
their
the
television channel.
They kind of switched up some parts of the different committees. Of course, Senator Regine Bisco Lee used to have oversight of labor. Now it's over at Senator Sabina. And then I think Senator Rigel used to have oversight of the port, but now Senator Talina has oversight of the port. And then Senator Talina used to have oversight of the airport.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's over at Senator Amanda Shelton.
Right. So there was some committee juggling that went down. 7:40, we'll come back and take a short break, and we'll get the Mayor's Council of Guam President, Mayor Jesse Allig, joined by Joint Mayor Bill Kenga and Enron Mayor Tony Chargaloff next on the link.